Good day. I am Earl Teves, and today I present an overview of the 4PH program, the flagship national housing program of President Marcos Jr.'s administration. For introduction, in September 2022, the government formally launched the Pambansang Pabahay para sa Filipino or 4PH program, aimed at addressing the Philippines' housing backlog. On July 19, 2023, via Executive Order Number 34, the President declared the 4PH as the government's flagship program, thus elevating its status across national agencies. Current year 2025 is the expansion phase, scaling up housing projects nationwide. So the 4PH is centrally important in the current administration's housing or shelter agenda. The major objectives of the 4PH program include: first, delivering decent, affordable housing for Filipinos, particularly those in the socialized housing sector. For example, the program aims to ensure that each Filipino family can achieve decent housing. Second, eliminating or greatly reducing the number of informal settlers. The target year would be initially on 2028. Third, producing housing unit at scale. The program sets a goal of building 1 million housing units annually until target year 2028 to address the backlog. And lastly, improving housing standards and ensuring that housing is located in planned service communities, including vertical housing options like condos and for vulnerable populations. So, what has changed in the expanded 4PH program? The expanded 4PH refers to enhancement and additional commitments under the program. The program was recalibrated and expanded with added emphasis on partnership with private developers, streamlined permitting, revised technical standards, and adjustment to price ceilings in socialized housing. As of July 2025, 42 private developers have formally committed to deliver 251,846 socialized housing units under the expanded 4PH. The expansion also broadens eligibility. For example, one use item indicates that under the expanded 4PH, some overseas Filipino workers or OFWs are included as beneficiaries. It is one of the simplified steps. There is a publicly posted two simple steps to apply for low-cost housing and under the expanded 4PH via Pag-ibig Fund with income eligibility cap. For example, monthly income not exceed 47,000 pesos for certain cases. Thus, the expanded 4PH is not entirely a new separate program, but rather a scaling up and refinement of original 4PH with more private sector engagement and more inclusive eligibility. So here are the principal features and mechanisms that the 4PH and its expanded variant employ. First, annual target, building 1 million housing units per year until 2028. Second, partnership with private developers. The government is soliciting commitments from private housing developers. The 251,846 unit commitment is an example. Third, streamlined permitting processing and one-stop processing center. The program emphasizes reducing bureaucracy via housing one-stop processing centers and revised technical standards for socialized housing. Fourth, subsidized interest or finance. There are provisions for low interest loans and subsidies. For example, part of the program offers socialized housing with low interest, approximately 5% annual interest for 10 years for beneficiaries. Fifth, vertical housing or high-rise option, not just vertical subdivisions but vertical housing, condominiums or towers, especially in areas where land is scarce. Eligibility on socialized housing. Low income beneficiaries, but adjustments have been made so more groups, including OFWs, may qualify under the expanded program. And lastly, land inventory and mapping. The program requires government agencies and local government units or LGUs to submit inventory of land suitable for housing under an executive order. Implementation status and achievements. So by April 2023, the government reported that 1.2 to 1.3 million housing sites had been started since program launch. As noted by July 2025, private developers committed to approximately 251,846 socialized units under the expanded scheme. The program is stated to be on track according to the government's statement and is described as one on the right track by Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development or DSUD. Government also emphasizes that implementation will not involve the forced displacement of informal settlers. The policy states that there will be no displacement involving in the implementation of 4PH housing projects. Challenges and considerations. Even with progress, there are challenges and factors to watch. First, huge backlog. The backlog of 6 million plus units remains substantial. Meeting 1 million units per year is ambitious and resource intensive. Land availability and servicing. For large scale housing, land acquisition preparation like infrastructure, access to roads, and services is a major task. The inventory of suitable land is required. Third, affordability and recipient income, ensuring beneficiaries can afford monthly amortization or fees. Eligibility criteria and interest subsidies must be manageable low income families. Fourth, quality and sustainability. The drive to produce many units must not compromise on habitability, access to utilities, transportation, and community amenities. Vertical housing especially requires careful design. Fifth, coordination across government and private sectors. The success of the program depends on LGU's national agencies, developers, and financing institutions all working in concert. The mention of one-stop processing centers is aimed at this. And lastly, beneficiary selection and no displacement assurance. While policy says no displacement, implementing that in practice requires robust safeguards and processes. And in conclusion, so the 4PH is the cornerstone housing initiative of the Marcos Jr.'s administration, a structured, ambitious effort to deliver 1 million housing units annually, eliminate informal settlements, and modernize the country's housing stock. Its expanded version engaged private developers, broadened beneficiary groups, and introduced policy reforms to accelerate delivery. While the progress to date is promising, the scale of the challenge remains large and its success will depend on sustained coordination, financing, land availability, affordability, and quality of implementation. For anyone working in or with the it should, being conversant with the 4PH mechanics, targets, and challenges is essential. And that's all for my report, and thank you.